Hello, my name is Kyle Quillen, and this is part 3 of my video series on how to program in Java. Today we'll be talking about the idea of selection. Basically, what selection means is that your program is able to run multiple different lines and take different paths. So, I did mention that sequencing is running a set of instructions and how you can't run two different lines at once. So that's not what we're doing. We're basically making it so our program reaches a spot where it has to pick a path to go based off of the information or the condition we give it. So right now we have our program test2 that we made in the last video. We're gonna add, let's get rid of this line hello world and let's add, basically, the first thing we're gonna add is a variable. Sorry about that. I ran into an issue. For some weird reason, JGrass was not letting me type in any text. Sometimes when it comes to program or IDEs, you kind of have to fight it. It's very rare that JGrass has problems. This is my first time I've ever ran into a problem with it. And it's always good to know that if you run into a problem with like typing or running code and it's not your code directly, it never hurts to save and then restart the IDE. Anyway, we're gonna delete this line right here, line 3, and we're gonna type in int num equals 4. I picked 4 because I felt like it. Anyway, what this right here is int, that stands for integer. Basically, there's different types of data named data types, if you believe it. There's primitive data types, and then there's complicated ones known as objects. Objects we're not really going to mention too much. You do have experience with objects, though. There's one data type that's not primitive, but an actual object or complicated, and that is string. Strings are basically a set or a bunch of characters combined. Right now on the screen, I'm going to show you a photo of all the different data types. It's not really important to know why you use different ones over ones right now. What is important, though, is to memorize what an integer and a double is. If we go into our interactions menu down here, I can show you that a double is anything with a decimal point. There's also longs and shorts. These are forms of integers or doubles, but they hold less data, so it's good to use them if you're not trying to hold a lot of decimal points. I would recommend looking into, if you care about making your code run as efficiently as possible and has the best, takes advantage of the space as much as possible, I would look into what different data types, how much data they hold. I recommend sticking with integers and doubles. You can also use floats instead of doubles because they hold less, they take up less storage. However, it's not really that important later on, because if you make really advanced programs, you'll be holding hundreds of thousands of these data points, and they take a while for them to legitimately add up. So for right now, it doesn't really matter. I would look into it for the future, though. So we're going to say if the num that we put up here for this variable, by the way, I forgot to mention, this variable, integer num equals 4. Num is the variable name. The equal sign tells the program what to assign the value for num, and int is the data type. Don't forget the semicolon also that I mentioned in the last video. And then we're going to put right here, if num equals 3. Just to put a condition in here. As you see, we use double equals instead of a single equals because we're testing if the value in num is equal to 3, not assigning the value. That's important to keep in mind. Double equals checks, normal equals assigns a value. And let's say if it equals 3, then let's do system.out.print, and then let's print out num. And now we can also put an else statement. And we can take system.out.print right here, copy and paste it. Let's put ln at the end so it starts on a new line. System.out.print is an actual method you can run. It will just print everything next to each other instead of on separate lines. And let's, instead of putting num here, let's say number was not 3. Or we can do number was not 3. As I mentioned, strings are objects. Right here is a string. It's a list of characters. A character is basically an individual character. Like capital N is its own value. So anyway, we did that. So let's save our code. Press B to compile. Then throw any errors, and then Control R to run. Oh, there we go. And as you can see right now, number was not 3. So what our code did was it stored the value for in nums. It checked right here if num was equal to 3. And since it wasn't, it ran the else section. Now, if you wanted to, you can end this else section. Also, our code ran, stored the value in nums, checked the value to see if it was equal to 3, and notice it wasn't, put it in, it went down the else path. Now we can also put else if, and put if num equals to 4 if we really wanted to. And then it would check this condition right here. Now there's different types of conditional statements. I'll put those on the screen right now. Basically, you can check if a number is greater than or less than, equal to, not equal to. And you can use the data type, one of the data types that I showed earlier, known as a Boolean, which is either the value true or false. Those are also considered conditional statements. Actually, this conditional statement right here, the computer will run that as a Boolean, or true or false. You can try to print this out and it'll print out true or false, but make sure you don't put it in quotation marks because then it'll read it as a string. Anyway, if you want to see the other path run in the code, let's delete this and set if num is, let's do not equal to 3. And let's fix our wording here. And then let's save, compile by doing Control B and then Control R to run. And we'll see, and printed out the number 4. And that is the idea of selection.